on Faith Talk Atlanta.
Love it. It is the Monday edition of Faith Talk Live. I am Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe. Happy Monday.
I failed to mention that it is Crocodile Dundee's birthday today. Paul Hogan is 79. That's not a knife.
That's a knife.
That's a knife.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't know if she does an Australian accent, but
I bet she
Denise
does.
King has been crushing it for the last, well, you've been here, what was it, 6 months ago, 8 months ago? When you're
More like 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
been a
been too
while.
long.
It's
you're
been
hard
too long.
to, you're hard to reel in.
Well, not so much.
Not so much
Not
lately.
so much.
Denise King,
Not so much.
she is an author, and she is also the CEO and president of Business Change Consulting, BCC. We had talked about that a long time ago. I think you've been hanging around us, which I'm very surprised you came back so many times.
Mm-hmm.
But you've been with us now for almost 2 years, haven't you?
Almost 2 years.
Yeah?
Exactly.
All
yes.
right. It's a good thing your mama's praying for you.
Mom is always praying,
Yeah.
and she's
Yeah.
praying for you too.
She's praying because she knows
That's
whose
why
show
you're
she's
back,
going to be
because
on.
Mama knows this is where you need to be.
I love
Yes.
Denise's mama. She's amazing.
and she loves you too.
Oh.
Let's play some catch up. What's been
Oh,
going
my
on?
gosh.
Now, when God showed up, I loved talking about that. A
Yes.
great book. And then
Thank you.
then you went kind of on a tour of sorts.
Yeah.
On the Facebook, you were showing up at like Barnes and Nobles and bookstores and churches, and you were everywhere.
Yeah, that was the intent. We were doing a very, very intense release of the book and trying to really promote it. So we were really, really busy. And then took a little break. You know, you can reach burnout really fast
Yeah,
with some
yeah.
of this, right? So I had to listen to the Lord's move of slow it down a bit. And in my slowing it down, I spent quite a bit of time with my mom, of course. You
Yeah.
know, got to give a shout out to mom.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I'm back at it again. So we've picked up some more momentum to start again because I'm almost done with the second book. When I say almost done, I'm like days away from
Wow.
clicking submit to the publisher. So with that, we are going to tag team the two books in the coming months to promote them together.
And we'll be getting into that in just a second. It's more of a devotional, basically,
That's
the
right.
second book. And
That's right.
yeah, I remember the conversation that you and I had, and I don't remember if it was on the air or off mic, but you had just released the book and you were writing the second book and had ideas for the third book.
Wow.
You were staying up late and getting up early.
That's right.
Uh,
Good
You're
memory.
fast and furious anyway.
Good
but
memory.
I was like, how long can this young lady do this?
Mhm.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
life
you just
happens.
had to rest a little
I
bit.
did. I
right?
had to rest a little bit. And, you know, with everything, life happens and it makes you step back and, you know, keep things in perspective. I had my own mission of getting books 2 and 3 out there,
Yeah.
but God also has his own timing. And in all of this gap, I will say, and waiting to finish book 2, he's had my attentions really honestly on other people's needs,
Mhm.
some things in my own life, and just really taking a step back and say, don't press this. Allow God to do what he did in the first one, his timing.
Mhm.
Allow it to be the same way on the second and the third, excuse me, on the second and the third book. And trust God's timing because his timing is made perfect in obedience.
Mm.
And that's what I stand on.
Now, you don't take me as a fearful person, but most people, I think, when they do something, because it's a great book and everything that went on there in the great book, there's got to be for some people, maybe you, a fear of, hey, I got to put out the second one because it's hot and heavy right here on me. And then the third one, just in case it gets cold. Because you
Mhm.
know how the
Mhm.
business world is, right?
Right.
You kind of have to be in front of everybody constantly. Otherwise, they don't remember you
Yeah,
and buy
absolutely.
your product, right? Am I
Yeah,
right?
that's a true statement,
Yeah.
and that's where, and I have to admit that I've had those moments, and then I have to catch myself quickly to say, you know what, this is not about me. Book number 1 was not about me, although it is about my life. It was not about me. It was about the obedience, the call from God to say, get more people, write this so that more people will remember me and remember the ways that I have moved in their lives so that whatever they're dealing with right now, they can trust me to get through those current situations. So it wasn't about me. So when I feel like that natural part of me, the natural inclination to say, I've got to rush book 2, I got to get book 2, and I've got to do this, I say, no. This is not about you. This is about God's will for your life. So if God is saying go, 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 then you go. But take that pressure off yourself. Take the need to say, what will people think? What do people want? And say, God, what do you want?
That's so
What do
good.
you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where do you feel I should be at this point in time with book 2 and book 3? Now, there are moments when I know I've slacked because God is saying right, 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 and I'm distracted by other things, but not the pressure of I've got to get it out there so that people will remember, she's an active author and so on and so forth. So have to squash those thoughts
Hmm.
because they will cause you to act in your own strength rather than the strength of God for what he has for you.
That's so good.
And I think that probably lends you to rush a little bit and maybe put out something that's not quite as good as you could have done
Excellent.
if you had waited in God's time.
Excellent point, because in the writing, book 2 has been a challenge, a doozy of a challenge for a lot of different reasons. But one of the biggest challenges, excuse me, my voice has been coming and going in the last days. We had the book tour in Houston just this past Saturday, so it's been a long weekend. But what I'm finding is that when I'm sitting to hear God, what are you saying to write in this chapter? What is it that I need to write about right now? And I don't hear. It's like I can't write.
Yeah,
I
right.
cannot do anything. So it is making sure I'm not rushing to just throw something together. So that's an excellent point.
And you said you're this close on clicking submit. Is it scary to think about hitting that submit button?
Absolutely. I look at the writing now and I go back and it's just like the first book. When did I write this? How profound was this? The book ministers back to me. So I know that this is beyond my ability.
Yeah.
It's beyond what I think I would do. So now I look at it and say, okay, God, am I really this close? Am I really about to click submit, and talking to the publisher just Thursday of last week. And they're saying, okay, are we ready to go? I said, not quite, because I will not rush it, but it will be. It will be soon.
Denise King talking about her book, which is phenomenal. If you haven't read it, if you haven't picked it up, you've got to. And then she's talking about her second one soon to be out. I remember when God showed up. A couple of things I want to ask you about in your downtime. No doubt you had to say, okay, God, maybe I need to work on my faith, my personal faith, my life faith. How did you do that for yourself? How did you, not that you recovered, but how did you slow down? And because the word encouragement, actually, if you break it down, means to pour faith into. So what did you do to get faith poured into you for the next mile, for the next
Yes.
years, for the next step?
Yes.
What did you do for your
Woo.
personal business, book, everything? What'd you do? What'd you do?
That's a doozy of a question, and the only answer that I have back to that is staying before God. When I tell you the things that I experience in my life, the faith journey is still happening. I'm still on the path. I'm still having to go to God and say, Lord, what are you doing? And begin to really stay in that place. But I'll tell you, this is a recent situation. I've suffered loss in my life in different ways. When I write about that in the book, it's not just a loss of a person. It could be a loss of a thing. And we grieve when we lose something. And I had to go back to that book and read that chapter about loss to get healing. And it ministered to me and it reminded me that God's intent is not for us to remain in a state of grief when we've experienced loss.
No, that's good.
It's to look to him, to expect for him to bring us through that place and expect him to bring us to greater, to bring us to more, and to be able to be okay with whatever we've lost, because we don't lose anything in Christ. We gain everything. And I had to go through that just recently myself and allow God to minister to me in that way.
That is so well said.
Well,
Can I
thank you.
borrow that and preach that in a couple of weeks at church? That's a
You
preachable
surely
right
can.
there.
It is.
I'll mention your
You
name for
can.
just a second. I picked that up from Denise King, by the way.
But how cool is that your own book is ministering
Yes.
to you?
Yeah, and it's, for me, it's expected only because I say this everywhere I go. I did not write that book.
Yeah.
God spoke that book, and that's why when it went to the publisher, they said there was little to no editing. It was near perfect. They just wanted to polish it. And I was not surprised by that comment because I know God did that.
Yeah.
So his way is perfect, right? So the fact that he spoke the words, he told me what to say, how to write, what to write, it was intended for me to.
Hmm.
It is about me. I walk through those things that I write about. But in terms of the hand of God on it, it is to minister to me too, and it did.
Denise King, she's got a book out and pretty soon going to be 2. And then we'll also talk about 3 here probably
And
within
the movie.
the
and
movie.
the TV
The
series.
movie. Wait a minute.
Keep
I-
it, yeah,
I just had a
prophesy.
flash.
Speak that. Speak it.
Two mediocre radio talk show hosts
Yes.
in your movie
Oh,
interviewing
yeah.
you.
Oh, yes.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah, there you
What do you
go.
think?
Speak it. Let's do it.
Would you star in your own movie or would you get somebody else to?
That's a great question. You know, I'm not shy of cameras, that's for sure. So I'd have to do a cameo or something.
Yeah.
But I would probably let someone else that is more inclined in acting do that.
All right, Dan
Love
and
that.
I, we're going to call our agents.
Maybe Oprah can do
here.
it.
Well, that would be awesome. We're going to call our agents and get this contract going
Yeah,
because
we
I'm
need
excited
to.
about Denise's movie.
Yes.
Because I want to be a part of it. Hey, we're going to talk more about her life and her favorite chapter of the book. Also, what folks are saying about the book. You got to pick it up. We'll be back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live. Stay right there.
Diabetes throughout Greater Atlanta, and also those who tuned in by mistake.
Look out. It is the Monday edition of Faith Talk Live. I am Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe. Happy Monday to you.
I almost said it was the Thursday edition, thinking
Oh, you
about
see, you
the
would be
pastors.
teasing me.
Thinking about the Pastors Appreciation event coming up. And we're going to be doing our show live there at the Alpharetta Marriott.
The
It's
Atlanta
called the
Marriott.
Atlanta Marriott,
The Atlanta Marriott
in
in
Alpharetta.
Alpharetta, yeah.
Dr. Robert Jeffress is going to be there. A lot of the folks that have been on the show are going to be there as well.
That's right. We know Kay Dodd said she was going to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Who was it on Friday that said they
I
were gonna-
think one of either Boyd Bailey or Boyd Bailey's staff, I think he's out of
Yep.
town, like Denise is out of town, and a number of folks.
Oh, Matt
and-
Chastain on Friday said he was going to be there. with
That
the
guy was wild.
Yeah, he
There's
was
a
fun.
guy that could put a movie together. We'll hook him up with
Yeah.
Denise
There you
and get
go.
that
There you
thing
go.
going.
He can produce the movie.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, hey, do we still have tickets? Because I know it's like down to the wire. Can we even offer that?
That I don't know.
I tell you what, find out. If you can, check it out, faithtalkatlanta.com. And Tiana showed us the cool flashlight
Yes.
there.
Awesome flashlight.
Is that got a thing where you
Spotlight,
can also
flashlight.
hear the show while you have
Nice.
it on?
Alexa, play. No.
No,
Alexa doesn't
Esther.
play off
Esther,
that.
the flashlight won't
It won't
play
play.
Esther.
No, okay.
the radio. Any-
Esther's my mom. She called me
Oh,
yesterday and left
okay.
me a message and then talked to Alexa at the end of the message, and she didn't know that she was doing that.
Okay.
It was so funny. We love Esther, but we love you too. So join us for the Pastors Appreciation event, and you're going to have a great time and you get a flashlight, meet us, and we may even put you on the show if you get there early enough.
There
So
you go.
faithtalkatlanta.com. All right, Denise King, we're talking all things Denise King here, and we talked about the book, which is a really great book. Tell folks where they can get it.
Oh, easily. Go to my website. I remember when God showed up.com is the title of the book. And there you can find me. You find information about the book and how to place an order for the book. Certainly can submit your feedback as well, because we like to hear some of these awesome testimonies that people come back with.
Awesome testimonies that you've read and also that you've encountered as you've been cruising the country.
Yes.
Cruising sounds so easy. It's not
Yes.
all easy, is it, when you go from city to city? You were just in Houston.
Was
did you
in
say?
Houston,
Yeah,
yes.
which is a great town.
Love it.
I think when was that you were up in, was it New Jersey, Philadelphia?
Philadelphia.
You were everywhere.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I think you've even got a Hollywood star on
A walk on the Walk of
Well,
Fame?
Yeah.
they'll probably present that soon, but right now it's just in the mind.
So as you sit down, usually, authors, they have their table, they have their books, and people come up and they buy them and you sign them and you chat with them. You have some just amazing testimonies of folks that have come up. They've been weeping and talking about how God touched them. Let's talk about that. What's been happening?
I love the book signings. It's we go a little beyond the just signing the book. We actually have a great dialogue, a great session, great discussion where I share stories that are not in the book. I share testimonies that I didn't include in the book. I share my favorite stories about the book. And then I ask the audience, what are some things that triggered for them about the book? And when I tell you the testimonies of other people, sometimes I've stood there weeping and how they said they were able to get past grief. in the loss of a loved one, sudden loss of a loved one, and
Mm.
how they didn't realize that they had been trapped, so to speak, in that process
Mm.
and unable to move on, and how things really changed for them, just being themselves, and
Mm.
the awakening that happened as a result of reading the book. And then I've had others share the fact that, they read the book and they feel like they don't have that relationship with the Lord. It's
Mm.
it's it's not the same as I
Mhm.
describe in the book with my own life. And they begin to seek that. They begin to
Mm.
look for that. And I say this is I have a lot of favorite sayings that I believe God dropped in my spirit over the years. It said, when you begin to seek God, you see God.
Mm.
And that's really powerful for me because it starts in the seeking.
Mhm.
And when people are talking in these book signings, there's a seek that's there. And after having read the book or hearing about the book, and they haven't read it before, it makes them go into it further. And they begin to have these experiences of my own personal walk with God because they remember the awesome times that God showed up for them.
Mm.
I love as we were talking off the microphone during the commercial break, you said that you'll take them with you to restaurants. And if you just feel the urge from God to give it to somebody, whether they're a Christian or not, you give it to them and you talk to them about
That's
it.
absolutely right, because I look at it, it's not about whether or not you are a Christian, whether or not you're saved. It's the message behind your experience in
Mm.
life. I give it to my Uber and Lyft drivers.
Wow.
I've given it, I was in Sacramento, California, and I had the books with me there. I was there on business, and the young lady that picked me up, I said, I don't know you, but I'm led to share my book with you. This is a book that I've written. It's about my life, but it's also about your life. You'll find that when you start to read it. This young lady has since, actually, she turned out to be a resource that I want to hire
Hmm.
for the business.
Wow.
Wow.
And turned out to be a super sharp young lady, but it's the book that is just, God is just doing it through the book. So I don't really look to see if they're Christian or not. It's a message to get them to remember situations in their lives, and God was there all the time, and he's there right now.
You know what really inspires me is your boldness. You will not back off.
Mm.
And it's not just about your book. You will not back off about how God has just touched your life deeply and will touch others. It's not
Yes.
may touch others. He could touch others.
Yes.
He's going to touch you.
Yes.
And that really that's loud.
Well, it's loud because the situations of my life put me in a place to where I cannot be ashamed of the gospel. God has done things for me, miraculous things for me, even though, you may suffer loss in this area. You may not be where you want to be in this area. That doesn't matter because this is temporary.
Mm.
This is temporary. Wherever you are right now, whatever you're facing, dealing with right now is temporary.
Mm.
It's going to change. It's
Mm.
going to get better. Sorry, do I feel like I'm preaching? I'm
No,
Well,
no,
that-
that's all
that
right.
needs to be
We're going to take
preached.
an offering up in just a
Yeah.
second.
I have to remind myself,
Yeah.
don't get caught up in what people think and what people will think. Don't be caught up in, will I be embarrassed? Will I be ashamed? Because those are the things that hold us back. What is God doing? What is God saying? And walk in that.
Mhm.
And if God is saying, plant this seed, sow this seed, go this way, we don't understand it today, but in the end, it all comes together.
Mm.
And that's where the boldness comes from. It's from my own suffering, my own loss, but my own, I guess I should say, accomplishments too.
Yeah.
Denise King talking about her book, I Remember When God Showed Up, the devotional coming out real soon. It's just a click away. And as soon as it's released, we'll talk about it and have her book, and you'll have her back, and you'll want to get the book.
Yes.
All right, your favorite chapter, is it the one we talked about earlier? What's your
Yes,
favorite chapter
my
in the book?
favorite chapter is chapter 4, God Called My Name. It is the moment of change. It's the moment of complete surrender. It is the moment of everything that I knew at that moment in my life changed because that's when I got saved.
Hmm.
It is the moment where I began to really know God. I knew him through my mom. My mom was saved, and she always prayed for us and talked about the Lord. And I lived on that experience, but I was not saved.
Hmm.
And it was that moment of change to make me who I've become today, to make me more sensitive to the needs of other people, more sensitive to what God is saying to me. That is my favorite chapter because of how he saved me too and the timing of my salvation. So
Now,
you'll have to read it.
as you wrote book one, obviously God taught you things and you've learned those and you've applied those in your life. How about book two? What has he taught you now that you're almost finished? What has he taught you through this process of writing the devotional?
Yeah, the devotional. See, book one was about my story. Book two is about your story.
Hmm.
It's a devotional and journal. It brings you into your own life situations that you can begin to walk through on a daily basis and actually chronicle that situation of when God showed up. If it's a situation on faith and salvation, your own salvation, and when you gave your life to God, or even if you haven't yet, you begin to document some of those things that you remember. And it just jumps off the page. Even when my writing, to even answer your question a little bit more, I would write and I would say, when I did this, and God would say, this is not about you.
Hmm.
This book is not about you. And I'd have to change the wording
Yeah.
to you because it's about you in the devotional. It's about you having a daily opportunity to be before God. He said, keep it short. We know God is very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's very detailed in when he puts something together. He said, keep it this number of pages for a daily reading. Keep it short. Keep the devotional, the journal side. Keep it this way. Only ask 2 questions. And I was like, okay. And then, if I went over, nope, you need to shorten that. Same thing as book one, because, I wanted to use my vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
There is a vocabulary in me.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, take that word out. You say this. Don't use these big words. Don't do that. Keep it simple. Simple stuff. Mitigate is not a big word,
Right.
but doesn't translate for everybody.
Mhm.
So just say manage the risk, right?
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Wow.
Little things like that still come out in this second book as well, to keep it short, keep it focused on the topic, don't waver. So if I got off topic, he said, rewrite that.
When he said make it simple, he obviously had me in mind. So thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, he's saying my people don't have
Hallelujah.
my people don't have long attention spans anymore. Please keep it short.
Denise King
Yes.
talking about the devotional. So the journaling, that's something you experienced before you even got into the whole book writing devotional. That's what you
Yes.
did personally.
Yes.
That's why it's so powerful. It's just left an imprint in you
Absolutely.
that you're sharing with others. Let's
Absolutely.
do this. Let's take a break, and we want to talk about more and where she's going. She's everywhere. She's everywhere.
Gosh.
And how you can pick up the book and the devotional pretty soon. Yep, Denise King coming back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.
Because we take this so seriously, usually. Faith Talk Live on Faith Talk Atlanta.
Look out. It is the Monday edition of Faith Talk Live. I am Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe. Happy Monday.
Loving me some Michael McDonald on that bumper music. Thank you so much.
Michael
Please,
McDonald.
would you
Definitely
stop right there?
I'm sorry.
Because she won't let you in the movie if you
okay.
keep acting,
I'll be quiet then.
acting like that. All right.
We'll take it. We'll
No,
take it.
no, she will. Denise King in the studio. We're going to talk more about the devotional coming up and about the book that's out right now. I remember when God showed up. She is everywhere, and she's got a great story. You got to hear it, and you've got to go to her website. But first, let's do this. Coming up this Thursday, it is the Pastor's Appreciation Event. Dr. Robert Jeffress, the pastor of the First Baptist Church in Dallas,
Texas.
Yeah, a legend there and really doing some great stuff. He's going to be our guest speaker, and we're inviting you to be there. We were giving away free tickets. There may still be some free tickets. You can check it out for yourself, faithtalkatlanta.com. I think Tiana's going to join us on stage again this year to give. There's all kinds of free stuff we give away.
Yeah, they got some good prizes to give away. We're going to be broadcasting live there. Hopefully we'll get a chance to have Dr. Jeffress on, at least during maybe a segment during the show before he goes on, so we can hear kind of what his thoughts are, what he's going to talk on. But we'd love for you to be there if there's still tickets available.
He'll probably talk a little bit about Choosing the Extraordinary Life, which is his latest book, God's 7 Secrets for Success and Significance. Easy for him to say.
Looks like this one's had coffee spilt on it or
Yeah,
something
oops.
there. But
Sorry. Sorry.
I'm
Anyway, I'm going to ask him some questions from the book. But hey, if you show up, come by and see Dan and I as we're doing the show live, and we'd love to chat with you. So that's this Thursday. Find out more at faithtalkatlanta.com. Meanwhile, Denise King is back, and I hope it's not another 8 months.
I hope
before
not.
you come back.
I hope
Because you
not.
asked me about the clothes on my house, I'm like, that was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it's been a while.
you gotta be a regular here on Faith Talk Live because we love every minute of
And
it.
next time, Mama's got to come with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Mama. Well,
We'll bring her.
that's a show by herself.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
yes,
We
indeed.
love Mama.
We can
Yes,
get the
indeed.
backstory of Denise King, of how she was as a
no,
little
you
girl.
don't. No. Oh no, we got to keep Mama V at. She'll go telling some stuff that I
Uh-oh.
tell you that she loves to do when there's big gatherings. No,
Oh.
just wave at Mama V and let her go
Mama,
on.
if you're watching on Facebook, we'd love to hear, just comment right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. We love Mama V and praying for her continually. She prays for us, and
She
we
does.
do appreciate that. Thank you so much. I remember when God showed up. You're talking about the tour and just how impactful that the testimonies were. Did you find that? I know we talked about your favorite chapter. Did other folks kind of say my favorite chapter was 4 or my
Yes.
favorite chapter? What kind of the top chapters?
Oh my gosh. This is interestingly enough, Tell Me Why keeps coming up. That chapter,
Tell Me
Tell Me
Why.
Why. Tell Me Why. Needing God to explain or answer why certain events happen.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
We have our eyes set on things that we think this is for us. This is what I'm going to have, going to get. And we're met with disappointment when that thing does not materialize. When we've waited for so long for something and people have talked about the tell me why, understanding God's move and when he doesn't move the way we think he should have moved, especially when it's something that is okay for us to have. This is a nice thing to have. Why wouldn't God release this to me? That chapter stands out quite a bit. The car accident, a lot of people relate to the story about the car accident, the near-death experience. That keeps coming up as well. So that and the other one is the sudden loss. Those are the 3 that I hear personal testimonies about the most.
I love the chapter about Tell Me Why, because we're almost like kids, because kids, when you say no, they want to know why. Why?
Yes.
We don't grow out of that. We're always asking God, why are you doing this?
We never grow out of that. We want to know everything. We want to know the reasons why things don't happen the way we think they should. And it's a very real story.
Mm-hmm.
Denise King talking about her book. That book is out and it's hot. You can still get it. And she's got a devotional that she's fixing, is what we used to
Fixin'.
say. I don't
Fixin'
know
a-
that they...
Finna.
Denise
Finna.
wouldn't say that.
Fenna.
That she's getting ready to release. You've got to push send, and it's done. That's pretty exciting, right?
It is exciting. It is very exciting because what comes behind that is getting the message out and getting the book in the hands of people so that they can be blessed by it.
All right, what's next for you as far as travel now? You're still traveling from the first book? Or?
Yeah, I'm actually still traveling. We just started another major tour that we are putting in place in different cities. I'm actually in Memphis speaking at a church. And I have to tell this story. I have to tell this story if I can.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
on Facebook, I call her my little sister, Debbie. She posted. She's always promoting her friends and family and what they're doing. She made a post on Facebook about my book, telling people you should get this book and other authors that she knows. And I thought that was really nice of her. Well, shortly after that, one of the other authors sent a link to say, hey, they're teaching Denise's book at this church
Wow.
in
Oh,
Memphis.
awesome.
And they're Facebook Live. They're doing it right now. So I tuned in. I watched this young lady, Marche, teaching on each person. The pastor asked 4 young ladies to teach in their Women's Month in September. So when I came to it, it was the second week, and she was teaching on the next 4 chapters 4 through 8 or 5 through 8 or something like that. Amazing. Blew me away to even see that they were using the book to teach their Bible studies during
Wow.
Women's Month. So I tuned in the next week and the next week, and I watched the first young lady deliver, was blown literally away. They were so creative. They knew the book. Didn't even have to reference it. They retained a lot of the book, talked about their own personal experiences, but ministered in a way that people could relate to it. Well, fast forward, reaching out to them, talking about how did all of this come to be. Well, the pastor of that church, and God bless him for what he's doing, Pastor Robert J. Matthews, Dr. Robert J. Matthews, is New Hope Baptist Church of Memphis. I'm actually their guest speaker on Sunday.
That is so cool.
Wow.
I know. God is amazing, and what he does and his timing is perfect. So he's opening up the doors to do local churches, not just Memphis,
Yeah, yeah.
but going back here, my own church home, trying to set these things up and put things in motion and watch God show up. And so now that's the new focus. Also targeting Nashville for a book signing. I think Nashville is on the list. Detroit is on the list. We're still trying to get these cities lined up in the way that we should. Still partnering with Barnes & Noble to do
Yeah.
that. So it's going to be more of a published once everything is locked down. So from now until December, I will be on tour.
I know you know this already. You're not just an author or a CEO or a business person. You have the God touch on you.
Mhm.
The I always kid and say the ointment.
The ointment.
The on-
but the anointing of God, the
Thank
presence
you.
of God, the
Thank you.
message of God is just in you and through you
Thank you.
to just set the captive free. And that's what you're here for, really.
Thank you
And
for
it's
that.
just so exciting to hear. Just think about 10 years from now, you'll look back and go, my gracious, look what God has done.
Oh,
But look what
yes.
God is going to do.
Yes,
So where do you
yes.
see yourself in 10 years, you
In
think?
10 years, I tell you this, I see myself definitely a noted author. What comes with that, of course, you want to be the New York Times bestseller and all of that. I'll put that
Yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
sure.
But in the meantime, my vision has been to create something that will bless the lives of people. And what I mean by that, in business. My business partner and I, Chris, we're about to launch a major company here that will affect the lives of people, health-wise and financially.
Wow.
So in 10 years is to be able to say that we have touched people, not just from the book, but we are incorporating all of this, how we live, how to live the abundant life, how to live a life of health and wellness and all of that. So
Yes,
within the
that's
next
good.
10 years, I see myself as a noted speaker around the activities, the things that God has already predestined for your life and helping people attain that.
All right, remember the little people, will you? Remember Dan and I?
When the movie comes out,
It was
just remember.
Randy and
We're
Don
in the
or
movie.
Ronald
We're
and
in
Dirk.
the movie
Yeah, you
together.
are. I love it. I love it.
Website really quick and Facebook.
www.IRememberWhenGodShowedUp.com.
All right, she's going to be back way before 8 months. I promise you. Denise King, love it. Check her out. Check out her stuff. And that devotional coming out real soon. Tomorrow, Antonio Cook, our
Who?
video guy,
Our video
is going to
guy.
be on the show. He used to
Amazing
be,
video
Yes,
guy.
he used to be in the band called Striper. He'll be back tomorrow. It's going to be a
He was
great
not
show.
in Striper.
Have a great Monday. I'm Rick Probst.
Not Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live. See ya.